So here's an interesting fact for you. Did you know that the longer you're stuck in your business, the less likely it is that you're ever going to get unstuck? Stick around. I think you're going to like this one. Hey guys, Pete here, HVAC Greatness. Hope you guys are doing awesome. This is a quick one, okay, hopefully. I've got a one-on-one coaching here in about 45 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep this down to about 15 to 20 minutes, okay? You know me, I'll probably go over. Okay, so I've called this one Get Unstuck from your within your HVAC business. Get Unstuck. And this is human nature, by the way. We all hit our plateaus in growth, and a lot of this is mindset, and we've talked a lot about that, and I'll just kind of hit a couple of the highlights. You go from being dependent on others and having a boss tell you what to do, calling somebody and asking them, what do I do? And ultimately you learn to break off and make these decisions for yourself, and we call that independence. But there is another level, and that's what we want to talk about. The challenge with independence is it comes from a series of successes. So what you learn to do is to believe in yourself, right? You learn to say, you know, I think I'd rather do this myself than trust somebody else to do it, because if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself, right? And that's never going to go away completely, but it is a lot easier to deal with when you do learn to lean on others in the right way. But I deal with people, a lot of young people, and it's amazing. I'm dealing with a 33-year-old new business owner right now, and he's very close to me. We've known each other pretty much his whole life. And when I give him advice, he is always checking it. He really doesn't know what decision to make, so he's checking against all these other people and asking their advice, and so he gets confused, and he doesn't understand the difference between trusting somebody morally, because people are trying to help you, you know, they're honestly trying to help you, and then trusting somebody based on their insights and their experience, right? Their education, their understanding, and mostly their personal experience in that particular matter. And he hasn't figured that one out yet. But I've got another guy that's 10 years younger than him that I'm working with, who doesn't have that hang up, and he's all in. He's asking, what do I do here? How do I do that? And he's just like a sponge. You know, and it's unfortunately, but the younger guy is going to outperform the older guy really quickly. That's just the way it works, because he's learned to lean on others. Now, when you're listening to these podcasts, I know you're processing, because there's so much stuff out there on YouTube and on these different podcasts and whatnot. And so it's just information, right? But until you are ready for taking that next step, you're not going to. You're not ready. And so whenever I'm working like with one-on-one, I do free strategy calls. You guys, some of you guys know that. Most of you should. We'll do one, right? We'll jump on. We'll talk about where you are and whatnot. And no charge. But I can tell if this person is ready to receive help or not, okay? And if they're not, you know, I'm not trying to sell them into, you know, coming on board and, you know, we'll fix you and we'll get you going, because it's not going to work. It doesn't work until somebody is sick and tired of being sick and tired and they're ready to go to that next level, right? So my advice to everybody out there is you keep believing in yourself, and you keep going in, you keep making those mistakes, right? Because it's through those that you're going to learn and grow. And it's also through those that when you finally hear some advice, because you've had all of these setbacks, these mistakes, these issues in attempting to have success, that one day it's just going to click and you're like, oh my gosh, the wisdom of what he or she just said. Oh my goodness, right? So you do need to keep pushing. You do need to let go of the fear of failure, because that's just part of success, right? You get out there and you do these things, you make these attempts, and you have these setbacks. But at some point you'll realize that maybe I need a little bit of guidance, right? So you depart from being dependent on guidance fully going into being dependent on yourself fully, and then you graduate up to being interdependent on others, right? So we depend on each other. So you got to push through these mistakes in order to prepare you for the time that you are ready to go to that next level. Now, here's where we get interesting. Every year that you fail to make that $1 million, or maybe net that $1 million, whatever your situation is, could be 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. Every year that you're stuck and you continue to try to figure this out on your own, and you don't reach out to people who've already figured this out, that's another year that it costs you that $1 million. So the price that you're paying for not making the $1 million that year is $1 million. And I find that fascinating. This was a big breakthrough for me because it was a big deal for me to go spend thousands of dollars to learn some of the stuff that I had to learn. And it started way back when I was doing heating and air conditioning with my business. And, it made sense to do the technical classes, right? Go take those advanced seminars and, why compressors fail and all the subtle things that are influence the compressor health. They can influence the compressor health in a negative way and ultimately wear and tear. So, I'm like, wow, this is wonderful, because I think part of that is your passion and your desire to learn. But moving over to the business side, and most of you guys know that my very first business trainer was Ron Smith, and he's the author of HVAC Spells Wealth. And he put on a program. It was a year-long program where we went through and we learned his business model. And as good as I thought I was, I had a long ways to go. So I learned. My sister ran my office at that time. She sat beside me and she learned. And we learned so much, and it had such a wonderful impact on the business. But I was ready. I had struggled enough to know that, hey, I need some help. And so that was what that required. So if you're not ready to actually call and get somebody to help you, and actually open up your wallet and pay money for their time and their experience. If you're still on YouTube looking at all the free stuff, and I do that too. I think we all do that. It just depends on what the topic is. But at some point, you're going to realize this is costing me $1 million a year. This lack of understanding is holding me back from achieving the things that I need to achieve to take care of my family, to take care of my business, my employees, whatever. It's once you hit that point, then you're ready. But even if you're not ready, keep listening, right? Build that information as a resource. And it'll be in there, because what's going to happen is you're going to go through life, something's going to happen, and it's going to trigger a memory. Man, that's just what I learned on such and such podcast or what have you. So it's really good to be putting that information in there. But until you take action on that information, it's just potential. It's just voltage, right? There's no current, there's no flow. So keep building the information. I think it was Socrates. We're getting a little philosophical here, guys. Socrates, who said, learning is remembering. And the way it's supposed to work is when you come in and you sit down with somebody who's been down that path, and you've got all these years of struggling to get to that point, when you learn the lesson, you remember back to your personal experience. Man, he is right. That's exactly what I was running into. That's exactly the issue that I was having. I wish, I should have been doing this a long time ago, right? And so once we have that experience to draw upon all those failures, then we can take full benefit of learning from others. But when we don't, we kind of take everything with a grain of salt, as the expression goes. Yeah, okay. But you don't understand the people in my market. You don't understand that people here are different. No, they're not. The people in your market are no different than any other market, other than birds of a feather flock together. You've heard that expression. People tend to live in the same neighborhoods and the same zip codes and everything else. So certain parts of the country, you may have more of a certain type of person and less of another type. So there's some very rich areas that there's a lot of money. So geographically, you definitely want to look at where you're setting up your business, or if you're in your local county or wherever, you need to look at where the best opportunity is, because there's a certain type of customer that is better. What's happening is when your validation is there, let's say your proof that you've tried these different things with these different customers and it doesn't work here. Well, but it's because it's not working on that type of customer. So there are customers that are coming to you that are not good customers for you. They're coming to you because all you're doing is advertising heating and air conditioning or plumbing or electrical or whatever you're doing. You're just advertising something that has a universal appeal. But when you learn to market at a deeper level, which is what we do, and I've been talking about this forever, you learn to attract the right type of customer. So whenever you want to have success, you want to go find the right types of customers, right? And you want to go figure out what they want to buy and why they want to buy it. And then you want to go sell them that. And selling heating and air conditioning is, that's not what you're selling. I'll use the story, and I use this with my students all the time. Why did the man buy the 1/4-inch drill bit? Why did the man go to the store and buy a 1/4-inch drill bit? And the answer is, well, he didn't want the 1/4-inch drill bit, right? He wanted the hole. But what I'm suggesting is it's actually bigger than that. Nobody wants a 1/4-inch hole in their wall, right? The man bought the 1/4-inch drill bit because he needed to drill the 1/4-inch hole in order to mount the little jungle gym toy in his little boy's bedroom so that he could be his son's hero. Everything goes back to emotion. Nobody wants your furnace in their garage or in their closet or in their attic or under their house or in their basement. They don't want your air conditioner sitting out by their back deck or outside their bedroom window. They don't want your equipment. They want the 1/4-inch hole in that they need their house comfortable. But they need their house comfortable because when they're uncomfortable, there's the emotional part. It creates all these stresses and all these problems, right? So when you learn about that, how to address those stresses and how to market to that, then you learn how to market to specific types of people, to specific types of customers. And you don't tend to attract those customers that are just about one thing, and that's price. So you have to learn to get beyond that. So learning is, remember, failure and experience lead to growth, and it's best to leverage other people's failures. Just refer to my notes so I won't forget anything because I'm trying to keep this brief. Than to make all those mistakes yourselves. You've got to make some. You've got to make some. But if you really want to succeed, sure, read the books, go to the seminars, the webinars. But if you can get a hold of somebody and sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, somebody who's been there, and start to pick their brains, the very things that you ask them that you think is going to help you, you're really going to be surprised, because they're going to look at you and they're going to go, well, that's not your problem. Your problem is this thing over here. And it's something that you're certain that you have handled, but you don't. Because you're looking at symptoms and you're not looking at the root issue. Everybody has problems, and there are solutions for all of these problems. What Pete does, what Kelly McKay does, what a lot of these business gurus out there that are even, more popular, what they do is they solve problems. And most of the training programs that I've seen out there, they all go back to Ron Smith and Associates, back when he created the dominant market share program. Most everything stems from that. Sure, there's been branches like sales where, we teach more of the consultative sale than the emotional sales. I shouldn't say that. We teach more of the consultative sale as opposed to the pushy sales, right? Because everything's still emotional. So anyway, learn to embrace your pain. Learn to realize that the more mistakes I make, the closer I'm going to get there. But also learn that until I get in here and get this right, I'm not going to make that $1 million additional this year. And therefore, what is it costing me this year not to do it? $1 million. What is that training program that you could have taken? Maybe it's $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. Maybe it's one of those levels. But if you're ready and you will take that information and you will actually implement it and follow the steps and learn the new habits, you're going to make your $1 million back. If it's the right choice. Now, there's a lot of crap out there floating around, don't get me wrong. That's in anything, okay? But you have to learn to search out, okay, does this person know what they're teaching? HVAC greatness, by the way, is about getting your greatness perceived, building your value in your customers' eyes so that they go, yeah, that's a better company. Of course I'm going to pay more. It's not some yo-yo out here in the back of a truck. This is a professional organization, right? That is greatness perceived by the customer. And you don't just do that with a fancy website and a new wrap. It has to say something emotionally. And so that's the area that we focus on, not just on the external, right, where you get your prospect's attention, but all the internal processes that are internal marketing, the way that your sales call runs, the way that your technician service call runs, the maintenance call runs, right, the installation runs, so that at every interaction with your company, it's just validation that, man, I made the right choice. This company is better. And that requires processes. It's not just about the quality of your work. It's about something deeper. That was my mistake. All I need to do is get in there, show them what I can do, see my quality of my work. Believe me, they can look at your installation and look at a crappy installation, and they can't tell the difference. I can, you can, but the customer cannot. They're judging your quality based on the professionalism of your appearance, your vocabulary, the way you communicate. Yeah, that vehicle that you pull up in, right? All the little things either fall in your favor or they fall against you. And it's an accumulative effect that ultimately their gut tells them, not their intellect, their gut tells them, this is the company for me, or I'm going to thank you very much. We're going to get 3 more bids. We're going to get 3 more estimates. We're going to think about it. We're going to let you know. Oh, we really like you. We'll be in touch. And so many of us are self-delusional, and we run out the door thinking, yeah, they're going to call me back, and they're not. Usually they're not. Now, sometimes there's exceptions, but for the most part, when you leave, you're not coming back. And so we have to learn how to create an effect. I'm not talking about teaching you how to be a salesperson, although you'll sell a lot more. We're talking about having the impact at the subconscious level. They feel it in their gut. This is the right company for me. And that's what you're looking for. And it's really something that you do, that you can train all your team to do. And it's not just about, learning how to sell. And by the way, this is the way you need to be approaching your team. While you're out there and you're building all this experience, right? And you're bringing in these people and you're just trying to let them get their experience, and that's what you're leaning on is other people's experience. This is why you're like the octopus boss, where you're trying to help everybody and you got to think for everybody. It's because you haven't gotten it out of here and gotten it into a process. Right now, you can't get everything into a process. So you do have to have a measure of education and experience. But the process really allows consistency, and consistency is what keeps customers coming back. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. I hope this one made sense. You guys be careful out there. Keep those vehicles between the ditches and keep learning. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Pete. A quick thank you for joining me today on HVAC Greatness, or maybe just letting me keep you company as you're out running about. Either way, I sincerely hope that you picked up on something today that might help you and your business progress on your journey to HVAC Greatness. Want more? Make sure we stay on the air. Share the podcast with a friend. Rate and review it. Be sure to subscribe to our email list at hvacgreatness.com so that you don't miss anything. This is Pete Ramsey signing out and reminding you why your customers love your business and what makes your company great. In one word, you. So let's keep refining your already good image and make it truly great.